Okay, hey guys. My name's Shadow Steel, and with me today on this first episode of the Railcast are.
Okay, we just had a small disconnection issue with our with Shadow. That's Shadow. I am Dino, and here's Joey, or known as CN Model Railroader. And yeah, this will be our first podcast.
Did I really disconnect?
Yeah, you disconnected for like a minute,
Did
but
he?
it's alright.
Sorry.
I didn't.
Yeah, it's okay. I got your back. All right, so our topic is going to be on the latest derailments that have happened within 2019 so far, and a couple of others.
So
Okay.
first up, we've got the derailment, the CN grain train that derailed in Saskatoon.
Saskatoon.
Did I pronounce it right? I don't know.
Saskatoon.
I almost want to call it Saskatchewan, but I don't know. I think that's.
We'll just call it Sasak. That's good enough.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? I mean, I'm assuming we've all seen the video.
Yeah, the
Yeah, that was
derailment.
insane. That was insane, honestly. The whole seeing that footage.
I'm pretty sure it was probably the road, the street road block, or you know how they have to pave over the tracks. I think somebody
Yeah.
screwed up there, causing the derailment.
No, because if you watch the whole video, you'll see that most of the train went through without a problem. It's towards the middle of the consist where things start jumping the tracks.
There might
And I
have
think
been
what
some.
happened was it was a similar situation with there was actually a similar derailment that happened with 765 over at a tourist railroad where a car just jumped the tracks at a crossing. From what I could tell, maybe a rail probably was broken or something,
Yeah, probably
and
the same.
possibly caused it to jump.
It's probably the same reason of why the derailment in Spain back in 2013 happened. Just jumped off, but it was also because it was going at high speed, so it might not exactly be related.
So I think it might actually be due to poor track or hopper maintenance.
Yeah, they
that's what
had.
I think too. It's the whole maintenance issue.
Yeah,
honestly.
according to some subdivision spotters there, they actually reported that the track has been changed in about a couple of months, and that's what caused the entire grain train to pile up, even leaving a -9 teardrop in scrapped. If you saw one of the other videos, as the shitload of grain piled up, you could see that there was a Canadian National C44-9W. It just went along with there, and it was a teardrop one. I love teardrop cabs.
I mean,
I've never seen a teardrop cab actually. Never heard of those.
I have. I've seen a -9WL. You know, the wide cab version of the -9 that CN owns. Speaking of which,
yeah, if that's a rare unit, then yeah, that's pretty tough for a lot of rail fans up there. I mean,
yeah,
Canadian National. I mean, I recently learned that Canadian National has a lot of their standard cabs still in service, while here in the United States, standard cab is a rare commodity.
yeah. Speaking of which, about the 9WL, I heard that Scale Trains is making their own, but that's off topic. So let's move to.
Let's return to the topic.
All right.
So, but what you mentioned is that they said something about not replacing the rail for a couple of months. But if the track only lasts for a couple of months, then isn't it supposed to be more durable? If it has to be replaced every couple of months, then
trains here in the United States are actually very, very heavy compared to what's going on in Europe. In Europe, trains are not as heavy. Locomotives it's primarily focused on passenger service up there, while we focus on freight. And because of that, rails tend to wear down much more quickly.
Yeah, that's why.
Oh, yeah, I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's why trains in America and a bit of Canada suck. But yeah, okay, we're going to move to our next topic. The Canadian Pacific derailment in Calgary, British Columbia.
Now, I actually have a bit of kind of personal attachment. It's not like direct to this, but where this derailment took place is actually available for Railworks as the Kicking Horse Pass. That's where it's at. There's the Canadian Pacific Mountain Pass route has that exact spot where the derailment took place.
Yeah, and prior this month, apparently another train derailed in this just in the tunnel that the train that derailed this time just came out of.
Yeah, it's kind of sad about that derailment in Calgary. 3 people died.
Yeah, and this got me thinking right after that derailment happened. It was like the second derailment in a week, and then a couple of days later, there was a derailment out in the St. Louis area where I happen to be because I think it was one of the rails misaligned and the train just fell off to its side. Nobody was hurt, but it was a coal train. But it got me thinking, like, why is this hadn't been like this started to become more and more common to the point where we're starting to realize what like there's more deferred maintenance than we are starting to realize. A lot of this happens to be like lack of maintenance on the rails and a system-wide breakdown. And it's not just in North America. I mean, there was a story, I think, in Siberia where a hydrogen train derailed and blew up. And
oh, God.
Like, damn.
Yeah, and it's just like, it was insane. And that was another infrastructure issue.
Yeah. Also, what I'm seeing from a picture of the derailment, Union Pacific GEVO, it looks like an ES-44 or ES-44DC, can't tell exactly. But that thing got mangled within the grain cars.
Yeah, I saw that.
Kind of sad. Union Pacific doesn't have so many derailments. It's sad to see them wrecked up.
But when I read the news report on the incident, one thing stood out to me is that apparently the train departed without permission after its crews switched in Partridge, and there were no brakes applied.
What?
I mean,
yeah, I saw that too.
What I
There's
think
some,
is
report that the brakes were not on the locomotive and started rolling on its own downgrade.
I mean, but I'm thinking like because it's been there in Partridge for 2 hours, like perfectly parked. I mean, something must have led to that, right? Like it can't just be that the brakes just stop malfunctioning. I mean, start malfunctioning.
There's actually another similar situation. There was a locomotive, ironically in Canada, that also had an engine that was overheating. So the guy decided to put on handbrakes, much less than required. It was like 3 less than what was required for his train, and put on the air brakes to hold the train. But when emergency crews got there, they turned off all the locomotives, which essentially cut air to all the cars. So the only thing holding the train in place was the handbrakes. Now, if this train was on a downhill grade and had handbrakes applied, but no engines on, then there was no air to the systems, i.e., letting the brakes release themselves.
But
causing the derailment.
Yeah. The thing is, this train was screwed. They should have been able to see it. Like, there was 3 people aboard that, like...
Yeah, the TSBC, I'm not sure. I haven't got an official report of the cause.
I think they're still investigating it, actually.
Yeah, it's under investigation.
Yeah, who knows? It might not be solved, like how the Cascades derailment wasn't solved. Yeah, 40 cars derailed ending up in the Kicking Horse River. That's going to give a problem to the environment.
Yeah, they said that it was like somewhere close to $3 million or something like that in cleanup cost alone for the river.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's surprising.
For the river, are we talking still about the incident where because the train fell, apparently the locomotive fell into the Kicking Horse River.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
That's a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how big this river is, of course. I mean, I think I can somewhat recall it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but after all these derailments, not only in Canada but mainly in the U.S., because CSX is crash-tastic. That's why I live next to the A line, and literally about a couple months ago, one of CSX's Q032, one of the Tropicana cars it was carrying, it went smack off the rail. But
there was actually another CSX video I saw where supposedly this was crazy to see it happen. There was a CSX train pulling a set of mixed cars. It was a manifest.
yeah,
And one of the auto racks, the rear doors on one of the auto racks was broken off. The other one was wide open, flapping around. So the car was just waving back and forth like crazy at high speeds. This was going like 65 miles an hour.
that happens
And
in Britain too.
yeah, but this was like I should link the video sometime because this was insane. Because
Yeah.
it looks like it's gonna fly off the track.
Yeah, because of this, the U.S. government has decided that they will require regional response teams for oil train derailments. That would make sense.
Yeah,
I don't know why that's not in place already. I mean, we're
If my
shipping
father wasn't,
more
yeah,
and more environmentally dangerous goods via rail nowadays. I mean, granted, I've heard statistics that trains have been considered to be much safer than road traffic, but I mean, seeing 5 derailments in 1 week or so, it doesn't seem like it.
yeah, that does not seem right.
yeah,
The,
but
yeah, but the thing is, hold on, fuck, I keep forgetting stuff.
but
Actually, go ahead. I'm forgetting
all right.
anyway.
So I think this is very good that they've decided to establish this law.
Yeah.
Because when a oil train derails, it can have like very serious problems if not dealt with correctly
Well,
or
yeah.
fast enough. I mean, I can give an example of this. Back in 2013, in my own home country, here in Belgium, near the town of Wetteren, a goods freight train derailed on a switch, and it was carrying chemicals. And basically, they had to use the fire departments of 7 different departments from the region to put out the fire. People living in the area had to be evacuated, and actually people in the surrounding, like someone in the surrounding town, died because toxic fumes were coming out of the sewer systems.
Whoa.
That's how bad it was.
And this isn't limited to trains and railroading either. I think this should be going for shipping. I mean, the famous Exxon Valdez incident over in Alaska. I mean, if response time was a little faster and if they had the right equipment, it wouldn't have been as bad as it was.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean,
oil.
I agree. They got to at least improve their response to derailments. I mean, so far, if there are this many derailments in short
in just a
span of
week,
time,
like a month.
oh, I mean the Saskatoon derailment was kind of a month ago, but now this is starting to get really depressing.
I
But
think like they should just.
Sorry.
I think they should invest more in track maintenance and
Yeah.
durability of the tracks.
Or maybe
I mean,
just
that's
wider
technically
tracks.
what they're doing too. I mean, they're funding what is called positive train control here in the United States. And I saw an article that they said that they are planning to meet or exceed the goals for 2018, 2019, thanks to what they've been doing.
Yeah,
I saw about that in the California rail system, the PTC, right?
Yes.
Well, thankfully, people have taken some railroad companies have taken some response to this because CSX is now currently putting some high speed grinding and maintenance on the tracks currently with LORAM as on the A line mainly. I'm not sure about the S line or anything else, But that's pretty. And I saw it come by my house myself, which was the first time I ever saw a Loram grinder. But yeah, that's pretty much what they're going to do. I just hope it clears up eventually. Now, to move from a less depressing topic, we're going to talk about a big topic that has been brewing up lately. Union Pacific 4014, the big boy. It's being restored. It's almost done. You think
I
it
mean,
is?
I mean,
Yeah.
they just passed their hydrostatic test less than a month ago now,
Yeah, and they also
which essentially is a steam pressure test. And there was a few pictures that were circulating around of the cab and several portions of the pilot
Yep.
already reattached to the locomotive.
It recently passed its early pressure test, which means that they'll continue readying 484 for service.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, I'm really excited about this project. Even as a person like from the EU, because the big boy, like, I mean, I remember seeing that thing on the like pictures when I was little, and it leaves an impression. It's just such a large locomotive. It's very impressive.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now, as someone who has seen her sister class, the Challenger, in person, as well as the 844, and who has seen an actual big boy in person, thanks to my local railroad museum, seeing this thing is actually steam up in person, if it ever comes to St. Louis, it's going to be an amazing sight, because I've seen the Challenger. She is massive. The 844 alone. Oh, by the way, my dogs are barking for no reason.
It's all right.
But I've seen both the Union Pacific 844 and the Challenger, and they have really made an impression on me because of just how big these things are. And to know that this thing is pretty much ready to go. I saw a video recently through a channel called UP Steam Train, I think it is.
I heard of that guy.
Yeah, he showed off a video of the Challenger during during a test run in 2010, going back and forth through Cheyenne.
Big Boy was actually restored at one point, but then they put it back in storage.
The Challenger is that her steam pressure, she was losing steam pressure, and that's why she was going back and forth in Cheyenne, was because they wanted to make sure she was holding steam pressure. I mean, you see the safety valves go off on one part of the video, but I think that's what they're going to do with the big boy. When the big boy is up and running on steam power, she'll be probably moving back and forth in Cheyenne for a short time before she does her actual excursion for the Promontory Point celebration, the big celebration over in Ogden, Utah.
Yeah, I honestly can't wait for the big boy to be back on the tracks. But the thing is, locomotives and excursions like Union Pacific's 1943's excursion, their locomotive, and steam excursions, they're mostly in the Midwest. It kind of makes me feel sad because as a person who lives next to the CSX A line in the east, I barely get to see anything really good. Probably the only steam locomotive I ever saw was the Pure Marquette steam locomotive.
Yeah, and in all seriousness, I mean, living in St. Louis, I rarely get steam excursions because our steam locomotive, the Prisco 1522, she has been in excursion service since 1988 to 2002. Never really saw her in action because I was 9 years old when she was retired.
Yeah, I've never seen. Okay, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but
sorry.
Okay, but I've never seen the power of Union Pacific. I mean, the best thing I've ever seen was probably a CSX excursion, and CSX is crash-tastic, and Union Pacific should actually think of spreading their excursions throughout the U.S. Okay, now back to you, Shad.
I mean, they did this once in 1992 or 1996, I believe, where they sent 3985 over to the Clinchfield line, which was at the time owned by CSX, for the Santa special. And that was the only time she was ever over there because of a special, like, I think it was the 40th year they had been doing it at that point or something like that. It was like a big event, a big anniversary for them. And they wanted to do something big. And Union Pacific offered to let them use the Challenger for a short time. And But the big issue has now become they want to keep everything on their rails and have their own crews. I mean, this was a prime example when they moved Norfolk and Western 2156 out of St. Louis. There was a requirement, even though it was a Norfolk Southern operation, there was a requirement to have a UP crew on the train no matter what until they got to the yard where the Norfolk Southern crew would take over. And that was the big thing. And I don't think a lot of railroads want to have foreign steam locomotives like, say, 844, 4014, or 3985 on their rails without their crews. And then Norfolk Southern has ended their steam program in 2015, so they don't have a steam program anymore.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Well, they do operate steam locomotives. I mean, 611 is allowed to run on excursion lines, but it's only through volunteer means. They have to get permission from Norfolk Southern. Same thing with 765. I mean, that's why the Joliet rocket is being done now, is because it's not part of Norfolk Southern. It's part of the Iowa Interstate Railroad, I think.
Yeah,
which is, of course, not a Norfolk Southern Railroad. So the 765 does have the ability to travel on foreign rails now.
Yeah, so... Yeah, okay,
I mean,
now...
I wish I could see the big boy in real life. Of course, it's not gonna happen because I don't live in the US. But I mean, like, not even ride on it. Just to see it once would just be amazing. To be honest.
Yeah, I'd love to see either 844 or the big boy or the Challenger. You can never see anything good. But probably the best you'd probably see where I live would be an NS Heritage unit.
Yeah,
I mean,
there was a couple guys. Sorry, but there's a couple guys. Last time I went to a couple times when I went to chase down the 844, I chased her down twice. One time there was a guy from Japan that chased her down, and another time there was a guy from Australia that came over to chase her down.
Yeah, I mean, Union Pacific, they always thought bigger means better. I mean, their veranda turbine, the GTLs, their steam turbines, their big old 8-axle locomotives like the
The U50, don't forget the U50.
Yes, the 855, which is barely even talked about. I wish people cared about it. The U50, the Centennial, that thing is really important. The DD35, and yeah.
And the DD35 actually has the only distinction being the only other massive diesel to be not exclusive to the Union Pacific. The Southern Pacific actually owned a few B units of the DD35.
Really? I didn't know.
Yeah, they had a couple B units, but they never had the cab units. The Union Pacific had the cab units.
Oh yeah, I can see. I'm actually looking at it right now. You're all right. But okay. Now we're gonna. Okay,
I think it's time to move on to the next topic because we're kind of taking a long time.
Taking it up with 44.
Yeah. So CSX just finished restoring a CNO caboose 3203, and they donated it to the Kentucky Steam.
Yep. That was actually pretty nice of them.
Yeah, actually, if I think about it, that's the only CSX Heritage operation that you might actually see on the A line because it's Chesapeake and Ohio. That's actually under CSX only.
Yeah, I can see
but they
that.
donated it to Kentucky Steam.
Yeah, well, Kentucky Steam doesn't just operate in Kentucky. I mean, sure, it says Kentucky in the name and hints out that they're.
I'm not exactly sure what Kentucky Steam is. I don't know that, but.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Kentucky is actually not far from the state, first of all.
But I mean, like, I think it's just, yeah, I read the article. The amount of passion that went into restoring that caboose, it's just impressive. I mean.
That was a really good outcome.
Yeah, I mean, seeing the pictures of it before and then after, it was a complete top to bottom redo. I feel.
You know,
yeah, I mean, like. Oh wait, yeah, you go first.
Yeah, you know, I am a caboose person myself. Usually, when I'm doing model railroading, I don't care I don't really like the braced FRED cars. I usually go with cabooses because they're aesthetic to me. But the fact that they restored caboose 3203, I That means a lot to me. I'm glad that people still care about cabooses today.
But yeah, like, I mean, the thing just went from like pretty much scrap, you know, and Kentucky Steam was like, okay, we just want you to give it like a new layer of paint, basically, you know. I mean, it wasn't really too intended. Maybe replace the windows, but they just completely rebuilt the thing. Pretty much, they did everything. They replaced the floor. They pretty much just restored the entire thing.
Yeah.
I think it just goes to show how much passion some people do have about railroading. And are willing to put it in.
There?
I think he might have died. Oh well.
No, I'm okay. I just screwed with my. I forget it. Okay, so that's it for that topic. We're gonna move on to some Metro stuff. That's actually pretty interesting. The Metro board recently approved a locomotive purchase for what looks to me an SD70 Ace that's fitted for passenger service.
It's
basically it's the SD70 MACH.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Actually, it's a set of SD70 Max that were refitted for passenger service.
Yes.
It looks like it will have
15
those,
of them
wings.
actually. And they would have the option to buy 27 edition. Sorry, that was a way different number. They actually have the option to buy 27 more of them if extra funding becomes available.
Yeah. It looks like it will have one of those wings that are raised by the side. You know how the Max and the 80 Max, 90 Max have.
SD70 Max. I just call them Max.
Some guy, he made a train simulator rendition of it. Not that bad. I think it's
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
it's
I've been seeing his
Steven
work.
Jam.
But
ironically, I know him personally because I'm on a couple Discords with him.
Not everybody likes it, and as you know, the Pain Train 765. If you're not familiar with him, he's a popular Gmod railfanner. He made a video on about the whole Metro SD70 MACH thing, and he basically said that it was fucking retarded. Pardon my language.
I mean, they did spend 71. Oh shit! I know this is wrong. I think it was $71 million on it.
Yeah,
which is quite the budget. I mean, I don't know how this compares to like buying a new normal SD70 Mac.
Yeah,
I've got no idea.
The SD70 MACHs were designed to replace the F40Cs, which were like the cowl units for Metro.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, Steven Jam. I'm gonna.
But yeah, so Metro's Chief Mechanical Officer Kevin McCann, if I pronounce it right, probably not,
You pronounced it.
said that 103, which is pretty much 70% of the current fleet of Metro of 147 locomotives are in either marginal or poor maintenance condition. And the average age of their locomotives is 31 years old. So I mean, it did became time for them to replace some of their locos.
I'll agree with
at least
that.
buy some new ones.
Yeah, this isn't too major, but I think it's time that we can move on to our final subject, the Amtrak's new long-distance service change. They're replacing a majority of their long-distance trains with more corridor services.
That's the plan, at least.
And personally, I'm not too against this for like the more like I would say northeast corridor type routes where long-distance trains don't really make sense when you're dealing with stations that are really close to each other. But when you're living in like areas like St. Louis and the Midwest.
Yeah, I mean, like, I personally think this might just be for the better. I mean, I think maybe it can actually make Amtrak be a little more profitable. I mean, it might still not make a profit. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think it ever will.
I'm kind of 50-50. I mean, long distance trains, it's a good convenience, and besides, what if, who knows, what if like the entire airspace gets shut down? There's an Amtrak long distance for everything. I've actually been planning for a while to take a long distance from Charleston to Chicago if possible.
Well, here's the thing about the Amtrak in general. Already, it's a mess as it is right now.
Yeah.
It's still funded by the government, which, granted, it's not a big deal per se because it's a national rail corporation essentially, but this also means that if the government is shut down, so is Amtrak. And I don't want to get political, really, but
Amtrak
I really feel
is
it should be privatized. Like Amtrak should be privatized, and they should have the ability to do something like this if they need to.
Yeah,
I mean,
Amtrak is government.
I mean, I've seen a CS44 Charger in operation, and they're ordering some more for long distance trains as well. But I mean, I could probably link that video as well. The link to the CS44 that I saw, and these things are not too bad looking for high speed services, and long distance would be perfect for high speed. But we just don't have the infrastructure for long distance passenger services right now. We would have more of a ability to sustain shorter distance trains than the longer distance trains, and that's. And I mean, granted, I don't want to lose long distance passenger trains, but as of right now, we just don't have the ability to serve them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is with long distance, it would be better done if it was high speed rail. But as we saw with the recent flop that is the Californian high speed project, high speed rail can be kind of difficult to implement in the US.
Yeah, I mean, other countries. Yeah, I mean, other countries they're already ahead of our technology. Even though we started the whole railroad thing, they have invested in it and made it extreme fast, like SCNO, the SNCR railroad, the SNCR high speed line, and a couple of others. Yeah, those can have problems, but the fact that we are stuck behind of everybody else is slightly good. I mean,
not just a step. We are at least 20 years behind other countries at times. I mean, look at Japan. Japan just showed off one of their latest high-speed locomotives that can get over 250 kilometers per hour. France can get over 200 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, but I mean, the Japanese, what you will see, like with European and Japanese railways, is that the way their tracks are made and everything, it's really made for higher speed trains.
Yeah, about what Shadow was saying about some of the Japanese trains. Some of Japan's Shinkansen maglev train, which is extremely damn fast, and because according to video sources by Japanese news correspondents, the Shinkansen LV maglev.
Shinkansen, as it's pronounced.
Yeah, Shinkansen. Sorry, I'm not really good at pronunciation, but I heard it reached a top speed of 604 kilometers per hour.
Yeah,
so
but I mean,
pretty much beating out France's TGV by about, I think it was 100 kilometers. I think it was like 520.
200, I believe, 200. But yeah, even with you'll see that with Japan is that even with their current normal tracked Shinkansen trains, which I think also go around 400 or something kilometers an hour, they are they'll have the tracks are just they're very straight, you know, they're designed for high speed rail.
And not only that, but they're built separate from the rest of the rail system. They're built separate from the rest of the rail system. It's a completely different system. It's a completely different gauge. Almost all of Japan's rail gauge system is 3 foot 6 inches, but the Shinkansen is 4 foot 6 inches. It's standard gauge, while the rest of the national network is Cape gauge, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but now that I actually on second thought, I'm actually supporting the decision by Amtrak and their long distance change. I mean, hell, you never see a corridor train. You barely see any corridor trains where I live. They only get all the time. An Amtrak auto train would come by my house every day at 10, and soon I wouldn't be able to do that. Soon that won't be too common, but yeah, I think we overdid that part. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode 1 of Railcast. So yeah, thanks for tuning in to our podcast. So we greatly appreciate it. Please leave your feedback if you want, because we are working. We are just starting. So
Yeah, we're trying to ease everything in here, guys. So bear with us.
Yeah, we're just like doing this for the first time. We actually probably have no idea what we're actually doing.
yeah, but
I think the person who has the most idea of what he is doing is Shadow here.
yeah,
So yeah.
Tune in next time to see episode 2. So
See y'all next
ya.
time. The
Bye.
Railcast. Checking out.
Take care, everyone.
Dino out.